Hi everyone, thank you for clicking that video. I want to do a video today about preparing your bed for spring planting. I'll apologize in advance for my chickens if they seem a little loud. I think they're just excited that I'm home. I want to get this done after work tonight before the sun goes down because of the bad weather we had here recently. I am behind schedule, but what we're going to do today is I'm going to put about 1.5 to 2 inches of compost from my compost bin onto my garden. I'm in zone 9B, so I normally do not have a freeze here. And so I put compost on my beds twice a year. I do it once in the fall and once in the spring before each of my fall and spring plantings. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to prepare the bed with my compost. I am also going to plant peppers, eggplant, and I'm going to try to save my tomatoes. If you have not seen the video on how to make a compost sifter, or perhaps it was the garden tour video, we had a very bad freeze here in South Texas, and although I brought my tomato plants inside, I got busy and left them on the kitchen countertop for 24 hours, and they were in very dire shape. So the good news is I do have some growth coming out of them, and we are going to try to plant these and save them. Again, I apologize for the neighbor's dogs and everything else, but essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shovel this on to about that thick, so maybe 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And when I'm done, I'll take you through the planting methods. I have 2 more steps that I do before I will plant my starts. The first one is I spread everything out by hand and just try to even it out. It's one of the reasons I really like the 4x4 size bed is my garden faces directly south. So my sun rises over here, sets over there. My trellises get the full 8 hours of sunlight. The reason I went with the 4x4 beds was so that I had access all the way around them. If my bed was 8 feet long, my trellis would also be 8 feet long, and then I would have trouble getting into the middle of the bed. So this is why all of my beds are 4x4. I like the ability to get around each bed easily. In the past, I have planted 4 tomatoes against the back of the trellis. I find that you don't need to. I'm going to plant 3 today. 2 would probably be sufficient. The way that you trim your tomato is far more important. I'm going to let each tomato plant have 2 growing shoots on it. So I'll essentially have 6 plants growing up this trellis that I will be getting tomatoes from. And you'll see that as the season moves along, if we can save these tomatoes. So let's get started. Get my trowel. With tomatoes, you can plant tomatoes as deep as you like. You may not be able to see this, but this is in very rough shape, but you can see I have plant growth coming out here. I have new growth coming out there. Those should be suckers. I have growth coming out here. I have growth coming out there. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up. What I like to do, I'm going to plant 1, 2, 3. I like to dig down very deep. And I'll pile everything right here. And we'll rough up the roots here on the, just loosen the roots on the bottom a little bit. Send that all the way down in. Fill it back in. And firm it down. And as I said, I'm trying to save these tomatoes. So I have a new growth coming out here. I have new growth coming out here. I'll go ahead and get that off. And we will see if we save the tomatoes or not. Stay tuned. My tomatoes will grow all the way up this trellis, and I put the tallest plants in the back of my bed, and then second tallest, third tallest, and then the fourth row here in the front, I put something that is the shortest vegetable I'll plant in that bed. So everyone is like that. Tallest plant to shortest plant, back to front in these beds. And these beds are facing directly south. But I've got a choice here because I've got peppers I've never grown before. A sunrise orange pepper. And I've got some Nadia eggplant that I have grown before that get quite tall. So we are going to put, fingers crossed, I don't think it will, I think they're going to be about the same size. We're going to put the Nadia plant beside the peppers and beside the tomatoes. Put the Nadia eggplant in front of the tomatoes, and then we will put the peppers in front of that. And what will go in the front of this bed is 2 zucchini plants that are almost ready to move from their starter cells into this garden bed, hopefully by this weekend. So let's get started. I could go 4 eggplants wide in a 4x4 bed. I'm choosing this year to do 3 eggplants wide and 3 peppers wide, and to do a little bit of different pruning on the plants to see if I can get the same amount of vegetables at the end of the day with a little bit more space around the roots. I found last year when I had these beds full with 4 plants in each row, sometimes the heart of the season trying to get in and clean up under the plant canopy was a little difficult, a little tight. I was damaging plants. So we're going to see if this year we can do some topping off on these plants. See if we can train the eggplants up 2 shoots to get the same amount of vegetables, but with 1 less plant per row. Eggplants, I don't plant so deep. Typically up to about the first set of leaves, but even these will start to come off. So we'll plant it right to there. Pack it in. I'm going to continue with 3 more eggplant and then 3 more peppers. I'll come back to you when we start the peppers and we'll water everything in. Okay, the eggplants are in. Salvaged tomatoes are in, fingers crossed. I am going to finish the peppers. These peppers are a sunrise pepper, so it's an orange pepper I have not grown before. They got a little bit sunburned during the hardening off process. And I'm really not sure why some of them seem to get a little bit of sunburn and some of them didn't at all. They were in the same spot. They grew up under the same lights. They were started under the same lights. Let's go ahead and plant these peppers. The process is the same. I'm going to plant them up to about there. And the last one. Loosen up a little of those roots. And push them down good. The last thing I like to do is to water them in. You could put some water in the hole before you put your roots down in. I've done that. I don't typically see a big difference. I have my watering container right out here near in the garden. I have another one on that end. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 raised beds and 4 no-till in-ground beds out here. And I have 2 17-gallon containers I purchased at Walmart, or I think Walmart. And I fill them up with water 2 times a week. I use them to wash vegetables off. And they're out here when I need them, so I'm not continually dragging water back and forth. Dragging the hose back and forth out here. I just fill these containers. They're out here when I need it. I give them about 1 container each. Okay, that's enough. One last thing I do is, as I water, some of the leaves on the bottom will go into the compost, or they'll get very dirty. And at this point, I just take my clippers and I'll clip them off. I don't want my plant leaves to be down in the dirt. When I've watered them in, or I've planted them a little bit deep, it's inevitable that they will get buried in the dirt a little bit. So a few of the bottom leaves I'll go ahead and go in and snip off. That one's okay. That's okay. my tools in my back in my garden hod, and a few greens for the compost bin. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, please subscribe. Stay tuned for the tomatoes. I'm really hoping we save them. Thanks for watching.